for coming back. Let's say, I have to say okay to that. All right. Thank you for coming back. Um, how many people were not able to be on Monday night? I just for the transition and making connections. So I know there's at least two people, right? Patty and
Mhm.
Bailey. Anybody else? Okay, so two people. All right. So for those who weren't here on Monday night, what we talked when we talked about ecological spirituality, we said that there's a piece of it that is affective and experiential, and there's another piece of it that is more intellectual. And we
Mhm.
spent the first session focusing on the experiential and the affective. Okay. And I mentioned to people that, um, there's so much out there now around the new science. And studying the new science without having an experiential grasp of being an earthling, of our own identity as earthlings, and really falling in love with the planet is only to have to understand half the picture of what ecological spirituality is. Okay, so
Okay.
reading books on ecological spirituality just by themselves is only going to leave you with half the picture. So we spent the whole session last time on that, and it will go up on the website so you can look at it. But let me ask those of you who were here on Monday, how many of you were able to go on the Emergence website and do that exercise? Was anyone able to do that? Oh, okay. Mariana, you want to just tell us briefly what that how that was for you and what it was? You muted, Mariana. Mariana, you're muted.
Uh, it was very slow moving, so you could really get into it and also pause it at different times. And it was very good for me because that day we had yoga with Alex, and Alex talked about imagining the tree and the roots of a tree,
Uh-huh.
and that's what the whole experience was about, and how we're all connected and the roots of trees are all connected. And I actually sent that link to Alex,
Oh, good.
and so I've been sharing it with other people. But many times I would just pause it and, to use your word, to gawk at it,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and experience being in a forest
Mm-hmm.
and the silence of the forest.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if anybody
Okay.
else was able to do it.
Anybody else able to do it?
Was
Anne Marie, how was it for you?
yes, it was very beautiful, and it brought back memories to me of one time at Fordham. One of my coworkers in another department said, "You have to get over to the library right away because there's a tree dying." And apparently, when trees die, they make a certain sound.
Hmm.
Now, I didn't know that. So I rushed over to the library, and the tree was moaning. I heard
Oh,
it with my
wow.
own ears.
wow.
And there was a whole group of us standing around. And this friend of mine has a summer home, I think, in the Poconos. And she had experienced this several times. So she knew what was happening. And then
Mhm.
all of a sudden, it was quiet.
Wow.
Wow.
It was a very moving experience. And also, I have at a workshop, I met this lady who said, people like to go sunbathing. She said, I really don't. I go tree bathing.
Mhm.
And every now and then she goes into the wooded area near her home in Connecticut and just sits with trees
Mhm.
as you would sit at the beach.
Mhm. Mhm.
So it brought a lot of those different thoughts to
Mhm.
my mind. I
I have to say I was a bit rushed because I was between two things,
Mm,
and I want to go back and do it at a slower pace.
Yeah. I
mm.
would, some people call that forest bathing too. You might see
Yes.
that phrase. I would encourage you highly, all of you, to go back and do that exercise, okay? Because you not only experience yourself as in the forest, but you experience yourself as breathing with the life of the forest, with your in breath and out breath. You experience yourself, and this is the piece about ecological spirituality. All right. Without this, it's going to be lame. All right. You actually experience yourself as part of the planet breathing, part of the life of the planet breathing. And that's that sense of ourselves as earthlings.
Mhm.
Okay. All right. So I want to tonight, whoops, go. We said we would look this evening at the more theological, intellectual aspects of eco-spirituality. And you might run into any of these terms nowadays. Eco-spirituality, um, ecological spirituality, eco-theology, eco-morality, earth-based spiritual practices, and evolutionary theology. All right. So you can just see from that collection of words that there is a turn towards the earth, Elizabeth, as Elizabeth Johnson would say it. Okay. There's a turn towards the earth in the whole field of theology and spirituality. And the other thing I would call your attention to, and you might want to make a note of this right now, there was a new website that was put up that was released just today from Yale, and they've been running this forum on religion and ecology for years and years and years. But they just put up a new website today, the Living Earth Community website. Living Earth Community website. If you just Google that, um, there is, it'll take you years to go through that website. There's all kinds of resources. There's a section on eco-spirituality there, but there's all kinds of things on it. Maybe if we have time at the end of the program, we can try to um, look at it. All
What was
right.
the name of it again, Margaret?
Living Earth Community.
Okay,
I'll send you a link to it after the meeting.
Okay.
okay.
Thank you.
So this is Elizabeth Johnson, the Sister of St. Joseph, the really world-renowned theologian. And back in 1996, whoops, we just lost her. What happened? Back in 1996, she gave the presidential address at the Theological Society of America. And the address was entitled Turn to the Heavens, Turn to the Heavens and the Earth, the Retrieval of Cosmos in Theology. Now, note, 1996. Since 1996, this has been going on, all right? And this is what she said, part of what she said in that address. I'm going to just do this because I need to, okay. She said, we need to develop a theology with a tangible and comprehensive ecological dimension. Cosmology is to be a framework within which all theological topics are rethought and a substantive partner in theological interpretation. All right. You remember we said last time, cosmology, the study of the origin and ongoing unfolding of the universe and the role of the human in that unfolding. We'll come back to this again later on tonight. But she is saying cosmology is to be a framework in which all theological topics are rethought and a substantive partner in theological interpretation. There should be a period in there. We need to appreciate all over again that the whole universe is a sacrament, vivified by the presence of the Creator Spirit. We need to realize that its destruction is tantamount to a sacrilege. Its destruction is tantamount to a sacrilege. Human beings are part of the mystery and magnificence of this universe, not lords of the manna, but partners with God in helping creation to grow and prosper. Not doing so would be to make our theologizing increasingly irrelevant. It would also be to fail in our responsibility to generations yet unborn, human and non-human species alike. Well, I tell you, that is a mouthful. We could spend the rest of this evening just taking apart this statement. But since this is an evening exploring ecological spirituality, I want to ask the question, can we take out the word theology and put in the word spirituality? Does it work if we do that? Listen, we need to develop a spirituality with a tangible and comprehensive ecological dimension. Cosmology is to be a framework within which all spiritual topics are rethought and a substantive partner in spiritual interpretation. We need to appreciate all over again that the whole universe is a sacrament, vivified by the presence of the Creator Spirit. We need to realize that its destruction is tantamount to a sacrilege. Human beings are part of the mystery and magnificence of this universe, not lords of the manor, but partners with God in helping creation to grow and prosper. Not doing so would be to make our spirituality increasingly irrelevant. It would be to fail in responsibility to generations yet unborn, human and non-human alike. So, what do you think about that statement about spirituality? Would that be something you could agree with?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I think the only difficulty might be we need a definition of spirituality.
That's exactly where we're going, Jenny.
Oh.
So thank you so much for that. All right.
She didn't plant me.
Yeah, yeah.
So how would you describe spirituality? You want to just take a stab at that? Even if you just say, well, elements of what need to be included in a definition of spirituality. We're going to look at it after, as we go, more deeply. But what do you think? How would you describe spirituality in general?
A oneness with the Creator.
Okay. Oneness with the Creator.
With the Creator and all other beings and
Okay.
self. There's self in too.
Everyday life.
Okay.
An inner life of meaning.
Okay.
I would say like a grace-filled connection between the earth, all species of human beings, plants, animals.
Okay. So is there anything that you heard anyone say that you would say no? That shouldn't be included in a description of spirituality. If I got all your comments correctly, a oneness with the Creator, a relationship with the Creator, the self, and other beings, everyday life, inner life of meaning, and a grace-filled connection with, really, Anne was saying everything, huh? With the earth, with other human beings, with God, with self. Is there anything in that that you would disagree with? To
No.
say that shouldn't be in that shouldn't be in a description of spirituality? Anybody?
Oh,
No.
All of those elements seem to have a place, huh?
yeah.
Okay, good. All right. So let's keep going. So theology and spirituality, generally speaking, okay, theology is the intellectual framework for an understanding of spirituality. In the best of all worlds, spirituality and theology are wait a minute. In the best of all worlds, spirituality and theology are partners with theology, providing a framework for understanding spiritual experiences and spirituality vivifying theological concepts. I remember the first spiritual director I ever had told me that when she began to study theology, she felt that she was losing her faith. And she went to one of her professors and said, I'm losing my faith. I have no feeling for any of this. Okay. So spirituality as vivifying theological concepts. Okay. So let's keep going here now. So let's look more deeply at what spirituality is. So a number of elements, and you really, you spoke to them in one way or another. First of all humans have the capacity for spirituality, for God, okay? Spirituality is rooted in the personal experience of the more than. I think we can see that from what I did the other night, huh? Rooted in the personal experience of the more than. It's always personal and communal. I didn't mention this the other night, but in Vision Quest language, they say to you, unless the experience of the Vision Quest grows corn, they don't want to hear about it. Meaning, it needs to reach out into the whole community, and it needs to be at last transformational. So again, building on an understanding or building an understanding of spirituality. And I'm just going to go through a number of, quote, definitions of spirituality or explanations of spirituality. Spirituality is the lived religious experience of God and all things in relationship to God. Again, congruent with your comments, huh?
Mhm.
Spirituality, the daily communal lived experience of one's ultimate beliefs, characterized by an openness to the self-transcending love of God, self, neighbor, and the world, through Christ in the power of the Holy Spirit. What do you notice about this definition of spirituality?
It's communal.
It's communal. In
And
contrast,
Daily,
pardon me?
daily.
Daily,
Mhm.
all right? In contrast to some of the other definitions.
it's Christian.
Good. Thank you, Ginny. It's Christian, all right? So spirituality is a is a big tent, all right? This definition specifically brings it into the Christian faith. And that's okay, as long as it doesn't leave out the wider experience, okay?
But what about the people who don't believe in Jesus Christ?
Well, that's the point, all right?
Yeah.
That this isn't that definition is not
Right.
the only, that's a Christian definition,
Okay.
all right? But the
Mhm.
other definitions are broader than that,
Yes.
okay? And that's important to note,
Mm-hmm.
all right? Because
Definitely.
we're not leaving those people out. On the contrary, okay? Spirituality, the way our fundamental values, lifestyles, and practices reflect particular understandings of God, human identity, and the material world as a context for human transformation. Okay, so you can see the big, this takes us back to the big tent, right?
Right.
And my favorite, a God-shaped hole at the heart of our being,
Mm.
okay? So now I have a question for you. Take some time right now to just try to describe your own spirituality. We'll take about 3 minutes for you to play with that. Now, this isn't, this isn't a polished definition. This is the beginning of that explanation. How would you describe your own spirituality? If someone asked you that, how would you describe it?
I think,
Hold on, all right?
Yeah.
We want to take the 3 minutes and give people a chance.
From your calendar, Pilgrim's Journey 2 starts in 30 minutes.
Okay, someone want to begin for us? Just, as I said, this is not we're not doing a polished definition that you have to live or die, promise to live and die by. Okay, it's just a beginning of an exploration. How would you describe your own spirituality?
I would describe mine as always being in transit. It's always moving.
Okay.
And that's because I believe that, I mean, in the morning I go out and see the stars in case I missed them at the night before,
Mhm.
I believe oxygen is I don't know, God is our breath. It's our air, and we need to feel everything.
Okay.
And I believe that I'm constantly growing on that. The more you feel, the more in awe you become.
Okay, good.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, sure. Great.
Okay.
Someone else.
My relationship with the divine through the human experience.
Okay. All right.
Me. I feel like a spiritual being having a human experience as best I can.
Okay. All right. Someone else.
How I relate with God and the universe, including
Okay.
its openness and transition, growth as something that's bigger than me,
Mm.
goodness, gratefulness.
Okay. Is that Ellie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay, great.
Uh,
I somehow lost your pictures with my
Yeah, I do.
slide. So, yeah.
I
Okay.
would say mine is Christ centered and connectedness to my fellow human being.
Okay.
I put awareness of God's loving presence around me and in me that connects with all of God's creation in Christ, through Christ, and with Christ.
Okay.
mhm.
My spirituality is based in living in the presence of God and all the experiences all day long, with time set aside for periods of silence.
Okay. Somebody else was trying to speak there at the same time as Anne Marie. Who is that
I
person?
guess Mariana.
Okay.
Mine would be eco-spirituality and a deep awareness and experience of the sacred and oneness and unity of all life.
Okay.
Mm.
Anybody else?
So this is Angela.
Okay.
I wrote down a journey of listening, praying, contemplation, noticing, all of creation, leading to transformation in the spirit.
Wow, great. Okay. So hold on to that. Your descriptions of your own spirituality as we go through this the rest of this evening. And then, when we finish tonight, take a look at it and see, is there more that in the pressure of the short time we had, you didn't get to include, or you would like to word differently, or whatever. Okay.
Mhm.
So I want to go on now, and I want to give you a definition of eco-spirituality. This is from Dermot O'Murku in his book on ecological spirituality. And I want to say something about all these books and stuff later, okay? He says eco-spirituality moves beyond earlier understandings of spirituality that focus mainly on human holiness and salvation in a world beyond, to a rediscovery of the sacred here on earth, propelled at this time by the critical issues facing creation as well as a deepened understanding of God, Earth, and the human. And of course, you know that this photograph is the famous Earthrise photograph.
Mm.
That's the Earth from the moon.
Beautiful.
First picture, right?
So we're saying, I'm suggesting to you that eco-spirituality is a leaven and a fermenting agent. Okay. Now, why would it be that? We have centuries of tradition. We have, well, depending on what list you're following, 10, 11, 12 world's great religions, all right? Each expressing its own spirituality. I know we have one, at least one practicing Buddhist on this conversation, okay? Why would we call eco-spirituality a leaven and a fermenting agent?
Because it grows and then it turns in on itself to see what else it can produce.
All right. Anybody else? Think of this definition. Moves beyond earlier understandings of spirituality that focus mainly on human holiness and salvation in a world beyond. So what I'm saying is ecological spirituality really enhances all of the world's great religions with the presence and the calling attention to the earth and ourselves as earthling. Years ago, Mary Evelyn Tucker and John Grimm ran a series of conferences at Harvard. No, I think it was at the American Museum of Natural History, where they had a series where they had one session was Buddhism and ecology. Another session was indigenous religions and ecology. Another session was Christianity, Judaism, all of the world's great religions. Okay. And they showed exactly what happens when the earth is included and how it opens and expands the understandings of those traditions.
Yeah.
So now we have a kind of nesting of a whole bunch of terms here. First, we have cosmology. I mentioned that a couple of times already, all right? If we're talking about eco-theology, part of this expanded understanding includes cosmology, the study of the origin and ongoing unfolding of the universe and the role of the human in that unfolding. The new cosmology expands our horizons, changes our reference points, informs a robust ecological vision, and is infused with spirituality and strengthens activism. Okay. So this understanding of the origin and ongoing unfolding of the universe, it just blows the whole thing wide open. All right. Ecology. So we have theology, which is the study of God and all things in light of God. We have cosmology.
Mhm.
Now we have ecology, the study of the interactions between organisms and their environments. The study of ecology requires the knowledge from many different fields of science. And again, I would refer you to that new website. I just started to look at it this morning. It'll take you hours to really go through it. It's a real treat, though. It's wonderful. Okay, so this is ecology. When you get involved with the science of cosmology, the science of ecology, all right, Elizabeth Johnson tells us whenever there is a growth spurt in science, a growth spurt in theology or spirituality will follow. And that's exactly what
Interesting.
happened,
Wow.
right? As we have become more informed about the new science and the nature of the universe and our own planet and our own selves, okay, everything has expanded. So, a little history. In the early days of Christianity, God, the world, and the human, and pay attention to the graphic here, okay? God, the world, and the human were seen as interrelated.
Hmm.
And then, whoops, wait a minute. Sorry.
What happened? Yeah.
Okay, here we go. And then at least four things happened. And this is a summary statement here, huh? Okay, because we can't go into all of these. It'd take us way over our time. Christianity meets Greek philosophy, the Black Death in Europe, the Black Plague, Galileo and his looking into the telescope and discovering that the Earth is not the center of everything. Whoops, and there's a typo there. Industry and science. Okay. These four things over the course of history developed. And instead of that union between God, the human, and the earth, there were clashes. And from these clashes developed certain dualisms. And dualisms operate by, as I said, their clashes and their separations. And the intellect is seen as more important and higher than emotions. Thinking is more important and more valuable than feeling. Objectivity is prized over subjectivity. The male is prized over the female, and heaven is prized over earth. And so what happens is we end up with a divided world. And in particular, if we look from the perspective of spirituality and religion, okay, we have those same dualisms and then some, heaven and earth. All right, think back to that definition of ecological spirituality. What was important in days past was heaven. The earth was a stage for us to sort of work our way to heaven. All right.
Right.
The soul was prized over the body.
Right.
And terrible, terrible things happened as a result of that, and it's still happening. The spirit is prized over matter, and humankind is prized over the earth. So this was the world we were living in. And then it was the new science, the new story, the common creation story, cosmology, the understanding of the origin and ongoing unfolding of the universe that changed all of this. And let me go back again to that statement that I read earlier about the new cosmology. Let me find it. It expands our horizons, changes our reference points, informs a robust ecological vision, is infused with spirituality, and strengthens activism. So what is it? What is this new story, this common creation story? We call it the common creation story because cultures all over the world have creation stories. This new cosmology, this new story, is based in empirical evidence. We now have the instruments that we can look through and see in our own, with our own eyes, and in some instances hear with our own ears, this origin and ongoing unfolding of the universe. Okay, so it began with the Big Bang. This is, again, I'm doing this quickly to give you a sense. All right, the Big Bang 13.8 billion years ago, and then the galaxies and the stars, and then the explosion of one of those stars. It goes what we call supernova. And when the star goes supernova, when it explodes, it spews out into the universe all the elements needed for life. And so our sun and our solar system emerge. Life, and we're still not sure really about the origins of life on the planet. This slide is a slide of what's called a thermal vent. These are slides, these are places deep underneath the ocean where there's steam coming out. And there are some people who feel that this was the origin. This is the origin of life from these hydrothermal vents.
Why do they think life came out of that? Though,
Whoops, wait a minute. Let me
I'm
go
sorry.
back. That's all right.
Just curious.
Well, it was a surprise to them. I'm not sure I can answer that question thoroughly, Patty, but I would tell you this, okay? It was a surprise to people for two reasons. One, there's no sunlight down here,
Mm-hmm.
okay? So they were
Right.
very surprised about that, okay?
Right.
The water and the
Mhm.
heat allows for chemical reactions, which could have given birth to the earliest forms of life. We're talking early life forms here.
Mm-hmm.
That's about as
Okay.
much as I can do
Right.
on that. Maybe other people would know more on that.
All right. I was just curious. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Okay.
No, good
I
question.
can see it. I
Yeah.
can see it then.
Good question.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. And then life blossoms on our planet. Okay. Well, the many, many forms of life. So this is what we're talking about when we're talking about the new cosmology. And so we call it the universe story, the common creation story, the new story. The thing to remember is it's not finished. Creation is not complete. It is not finished. It's still happening. So Teilhard de Chardin talks about cosmogenesis. Thomas Berry talks about the creator created a self-creating universe.
Yeah,
All right. The creator created a self-creating universe. So this mystery,
that makes sense. Yeah,
this mystery
like that.
of the universe. So you see now why Elizabeth Johnson would say a growth spurt in science brings about a growth spurt in theology and spirituality. Because let's just look. Here are some of the people who are doing this explanation, this exploration, I should say. This is John Hart. He is a retired theologian from Georgetown University. And John has written many, many books. God After Darwin, God After Einstein, um, uh, all kinds of books about the relationship between science and theology, between science and Christology. Here we have Mary Evelyn Tucker and John Grimm, who started that Forum for Religion and Ecology, which I mentioned earlier. And they're the ones who, I think it's some of their students who actually have put up this new website. This is Brian Swim. And you know his latest book on the noosphere. We've studied that. Some of us have been in a study group on that. This is Ilya Delio.
I'm on Zoom. Excuse me.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Here we have Miriam Therese McGillis. This is Thomas Berry, Dermot O'Murku. This, of course, is Teilhard, all right, Teilhard de Chardin, who was the pioneer, really, when it came to one of the early pioneers of integrating evolution with theology. One of the questions he asked is, who will give evolution its God? Okay. And what he was saying there is the old static idea of God no longer works in the new science. And if the new science is true, then we need to update our theology. All right. And Thomas Berry took the work of Teilhard and deepened it. Okay, you have Dermot O'Murku there. Miriam McGillis, who really taught a lot and tried to explain a lot of what Thomas Berry was talking about, because Thomas wasn't easy to understand. Okay, and then you have Elizabeth Johnson, Gail Worcello with her Green Mountain Monastery up in Vermont. And this is Heather Eaton, a Canadian ecofeminist theologian. And this man we're going to talk about, Hans Gregerson. We'll talk about him in a few minutes. But I want to say that there's a lot coming out on eco-theology, all kinds of stuff coming out, and it's all great. I haven't read all of it, and but I've been thinking about this really. I really think much of it, much of the new things that are coming out about eco-theology are further elaborations or even riffs on Teilhard's work and Thomas Berry's work. That if you read Teilhard and you read Thomas Berry, you get eco-theology. All of the other stuff is great. I mean, and it's fine. And it's a further elaboration, some of the science, some of the theology. But I really, I don't think I'm being like stuffy and not updating myself when I say that. As I read the stuff, all I can think of is, of course, and you'll see this when we get to Gregerson's work, okay? All right, so let's see. Okay. So what these people are saying is they're asking questions. All right, now, given this universe that we have a glimpse of now from the new cosmology, who is God? When did revelation begin? Did it begin with Adam and Eve? Or did it begin millions and millions of years before? What's the primary sacred story? is the idea of the world as a pyramid with humans on the top an adequate worldview? How should we understand the earth? How should we understand humanity? Where is the sacred located? How are we to understand Jesus? And where is he now? These are just some of the questions that all of this rages, and it's some of it is some of the material that eco-theology deals with.
Mm.
So in Laudate Si, Pope Francis says to us, we asked that question before, back here, about what does it mean to be human, right? And Pope Francis says, we humans have forgotten who we are. Our very bodies are made up of the elements of the earth. We breathe her air and receive life and refreshment from her waters. I remember once teaching this to a group, and someone said to me, "Oh, are you suggesting that we're earthlings?" And I said, "That's exactly what I'm suggesting. We are earthlings." Okay? Who is God? God transcendent and God immanent. This is one of the dualisms. God, the transcendent God and the immanent God. And in Laudato Si, it says, the divine and the human meet in the slightest detail in the seamless garment of God's creation, in the last speck of dust of the planet.
Beautiful.
So that's the immanence of God, okay? The closeness of God. What is the earth? The universe unfolds in God who fills it completely. How do we understand the earth? The universe, the earth, unfolds in God who fills it completely. There is a mystical meaning to be found in a leaf, in a mountain trail, in a dewdrop, in a poor person's face. The idea is to discover God in all things. And that was an element many of you used when you talked about spirituality in general and your own spirituality. So this 50-cent word here on the side, cosmotheandric, okay? That's given to us by a theologian who died recently, Raimundo Panikkar is his name. I guess he died within the past 10 years or so, okay? And his books really give you a headache. I mean, but it's worth getting the headache to read them, okay? So what he's saying is reality is cosmotheandric. So cosmo, meaning the earth,
Mhm.
theo, meaning God, and andros, meaning the human. So he's bringing us back to that original unity between God, the
Human.
earth, the universe, and the human. And of course, I mean, we can't help but think of the Trinity when we look at that.
Mhm.
Oh, here's my friend. This is a great story. This is Hans Gregerson, okay? Niels Henrik Gregerson. That's his name, okay? So he wrote this book on incarnation. Let me just see here. What's the next slide? Okay. And he introduced the term deep incarnation. And Elizabeth Johnson jumped all over it. when he introduced it. She took it and she really further developed it. But here's what he says. The word of God, no, the word of God's embodied self. In other words, the second person of the Blessed Trinity, the word of God's embodied self became a creature of earth. He's talking about Jesus, all right? A complex unit of minerals and fluids, an item in the carbon, oxygen, and nitrogen cycles. Like all human beings, Jesus carried the signature of the supernova and the geology and life history of Earth. The genetic structure of the cells in his body were kin to the flowers, the fish, the whole community of life that descended from common ancestors in the ancient seas. The flesh that the Word of God became as a human being is part of the vast body of the cosmos. So this is stunning. But well, there's no but about it. All right. Sometimes when I teach this, I'll say to people, where did Jesus get his body from? So where did Jesus get his body from?
Mary.
Right. Okay. But look at this. Where do all bodies come from?
Your mother's.
Go back beyond your mother. Where did they come from? Read this. Read it.
Yeah.
Where do all bodies come from?
Supernova.
They come from the stars.
The cosmos.
They come from
The
the
universe.
cosmos.
Yeah.
Well, it's like before when we said, remember when I said I was teaching this to somebody and she said, "Oh, you mean like we're earthlings?"
Yeah.
All right. So what this says, see, we think of Jesus. This is an example of really understanding the new story. And that was so when I came across this and I read this for the first time, I said to myself, of course, if you understand the new story, there's no other way that Jesus could get a body. In this universe, this is the only way he could get a body from the stars. Eventually, of course, from Mary. All right. But this is how united, this is how one God is with us, with the earth. That he was a complex unit of minerals and fluids, an item in the carbon, oxygen, and nitrogen cycles. It says he carried the signature of the supernova and the geology and the life history of Earth. The genetic structure of the cells of his body were kin to the flowers, the fish, the whole community of life. You know those slides where they show you the embryo, the developing embryo,
Right.
and how that part there's a specific section in the early development of the embryo of the human that the human and the fish and I forget what else.
Big.
They're all the same.
Mhm.
And then something happens and
Tadpole.
the human goes in another direction. Okay. So we have that within us. And so did Jesus.
Mm.
So this is an example really of an eco-spiritual understanding of Jesus of Nazareth, the second person of the Blessed Trinity.
And as you talk, That's why now they're in my opinion, they think concentrating on taking care of the earth, because every piece of the earth and what's in it is part of God,
Exactly.
and what part of God is part of me.
That's
So if we
exactly
help
right.
the earth, we're helping ourselves
Right.
in some way.
That's exactly right, Denise. I'm going to get out of these slides so I can see your faces now. I don't know
Do
how.
we make faces? No.
I have to tell you
how I
the
did
truth, I
this.
really stay out of this because it goes too deep for me. But as you explain it all, it makes it so much easier.
It does.
I don't know what the heck I do with my screen here.
No, you're there.
Are you there, Angela? Can you help me? I don't know what I did. Let me stop sharing, huh?
Yeah, stop share.
All right, wait a
And
minute. There's more slides? Wait a minute. I thought that was the end of my slides. Okay. No, I have 2 more slides. Okay. All right, so just to finish up, okay? In Laudate Si number 85, Pope Francis says, God has written a precious book whose letters are all created things, a continuing revelation of the divine. And then here we have a symbol of global climate change, which I'm not going to say what I'm going to think, what I'm thinking now, but we'll go.
Oh, speak the truth.
Okay. All right, so here we have, you know, the 2 visions really of the planet. One with the human on top, and notice it says ego.
We
Okay.
can't see
We
that.
don't have that.
No,
You
we
don't-
don't have it.
All right, I'm sorry. I
We're
must
still on
I messed up with this. I don't know
it's all
what I
right.
did.
You have to share again, Margaret. Share your screen. And then go
I
back to
can't
the
seem to
slides.
find it. End the slideshow. Click to exit. Wait a minute. Now, can you see anything now?
We see you.
No.
It's
you.
you.
each other.
I don't know what I did here.
Yeah, Jenny and
I can see Jenny and
Oh, so I
myself.
have to share again, Angela?
Yes, hit share.
That green box?
Yeah, I got it.
Yep, there you go.
There you go.
And we're back.
All right, now you can see it.
Yes.
fullness of
Black.
life.
Okay, so
Life, yeah, fullness
All
of life.
so you see the 2
Ego and echo.
There it is.
2 symbols, which it says
Ego and echo.
Right.
right? It says
Right.
everything. After all we've said, what do we need to say?
Right.
Okay.
Mhm.
So then we have Teilhard, and this is what he has to say. As our humanity assimilates the material world, he's talking about the Eucharist. And as the Eucharistic host assimilates our humanity, the Eucharistic transformation goes beyond the altar and completes the transformation of the bread on the altar. Step by step, it invades the universe. The sacramental species are formed by the totality of the world, and the duration of creation is the time needed for its consecration. So what he's saying here is really, it summarizes everything we've said before.
Mhm.
Okay. In the Eucharist, well, as humans, we assimilate the material world. We're constantly taking the material world into us. Okay.
Mhm.
When we receive the Eucharist, we receive the divine into ourselves, and we are assimilated into the life of the Trinity. It's not only we receiving Christ, but in receiving Christ in the Eucharist, we are assimilated into the life of the Trinity. And then he says, but this transformation goes beyond the altar and the bread and wine on the altar. Because of everything we've said, he's saying this ongoing transformation, assimilation of the human and the world into the divine is invading the universe. So the sacramental species, which we normally think of as the bread and wine, the sacramental species, it's really the totality of the world. And the duration of creation is the time needed for the consecration of the world to become divine, divinized.
That just blew my mind.
Yeah, it is mind-blowing.
Oh my goodness.
As we see the host, everything is drawn into that symbol.
Right.
Because it's universal, based upon step by step it invades the universe.
Right. Everything in what the world holds comes together as one.
And you see, one of the things about eco-theology is we used to be afraid of saying things like this.
Right. That's right.
Because we would say, oh, it's pantheism.
Right.
All right. But we're realizing part of what the new science is teaching us is not, that this is consistent with the nature of the universe.
And that last sentence from the previous screen,
Yeah.
where the word became flesh, not that one. No.
This one? This one?
Oh, yes. Oof. The flesh that the word of God became as a human being is part of the vast body of the cosmos. Cosmos, I'm thinking universe.
Right.
Oh my goodness.
Well, you know, that's why I go out in the morning and just breathe in the air. I feel like I'm breathing in God all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And aren't we part of each other? So he gets a piece of me too.
I'm going to shut this off because I want to try to see your faces again. I
No.
don't know the name of God I did.
Yeah.
Like you said the other day on Monday, go out and sit with nature. So at 5:30, I went outside because I heard the birds for the first time in I don't know how long. And they're probably there every day at 5:30 when I wake up. But because I was more in tune to listening for the earth talking to me, I heard the birds.
That's great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Notice.
Well, that's why I'm suggesting that we go on that Emergence magazine
Right.
and treat yourself really to that experience.
I started to, and then I ran into something else.
Yeah. Anybody else comments, questions? Ginny, you look like you want to say something.
No, it's just wonderful. It's just wonderful. It really is.
Ginny, did you want to say something?
I did. I just wanted to
Wait, hold on a second.
Oh.
Ginny Day.
Oh.
Thank you. I guess what I'm thinking is this would scare people to death. I mean, the first thing. Because just as one of the frames that you showed us, Margaret, who is God? You know, because it turns our world
Upside down.
that we've
Upside
held on to. So I just say that. And the second thing, I mean, after I can try to digest it, is how do we live?
Mhm.
If we take this, if we're able to take it in,
Mhm.
what are our lives about, and how do we live?
Mhm. Mhm.
So those are my two
Yeah.
comments.
I have a reading from Thomas Berry that I wanted to share with you. This is from the Thomas Berry Book of Hours.
Oh,
Okay. And it says, wait a minute. If we were truly moved by the beauty of the world around us, we would honor the earth in a profound way. We would understand immediately and turn away with a certain horror from all those activities that violate the integrity of the planet. That we have not done so reveals that the disturbance exists at a more basic level of consciousness and on a greater order of magnitude than we dare admit to ourselves or even think about. This unprecedented pathology is not merely in those more immediate forms of economic activity that have done such damage. It is even more deeply embedded in our cultural traditions, in our religious traditions, in our very language, in our entire value systems.
that's profound.
Yeah.
So, I encourage you to go on that new website to read, read as much as you want to, as much as you can about eco-theology, but this will give you a foundation for it. It's not all head stuff. You really have to feel it in your gut. You have to let yourself, and that's what Barry is saying in this. And that was part of the reason why I started the way I did, giving you the experiences sharing the experiences that I had both at Redwoods and in the desert, in Death Valley. Because I think that's what made all the difference for me. The two together.
I didn't do that website that you had suggested
Right.
us do. I did the engaging in creation.
Okay.
And as you know, I have birds. And it was early in the morning. When I uncovered them, I turned everything off and had the windows open, and I listened to them. I listened to them communicate with one another. And then the birds outside, they would come near the window or singing their own songs, and then my finches would follow them and almost like they're different, they're different breeds, but they still had a common language. And it was beautiful. But it made me think. It made me think of them in this big cage versus out with them, in the sky, flying, living. And it kind of, it's something that I need to pray over, but it's something, to me, it was their life,
Mm-hmm.
So then I had gone someplace else to get outside after an appointment and just to be. And again, the birds were there and they were flying. And at one point in time on the way home, I was actually visiting my husband. On the way home, oh my goodness, there must have been 50 of them flying their 110. And I thought to myself, talk about symbolism, because they landed on the telephone, like the telephone wires.
Right.
And I'm like, are they trying to communicate to
Mm-hmm.
me? Like your telephone, you get on, you talk, or you text. It was very strange, the whole thing. But this engaging creation,
Mm.
if that's what that means, it's like, I love animals, and it's like talking to them
Mm-hmm.
and
There's
being
a
with them.
section. There's a section on the website, the new website that I told you about this.
Yeah,
Yeah. So don't forget to check that out.
I will
All
definitely.
right.
And if they could live so peacefully, why can't human, those jerks that have the brain, why can't they see how simple it is? The animals have no problem with one another. Sure, they eat each other when they're hungry, but they seem content.
Well, they do fight.
Because
Yeah.
consciousness, because consciousness is a process,
Mhm.
and
Right.
we might not yet be fully human.
Okay.
That explains a lot of people, though. No,
Yeah. Yes.
So it's almost time to stop. Anybody else have anything that they want to say, or
When's the next session?
I just have to say something that
This was beautiful.
when you had mentioned when did Revelation start in the
right?
Garden of Eden before it? It was several years ago. I remember finding out that probably Jesus Christ was born in like 4 BC,
Mhm.
technically and everything, because of the king who had died in his era had died around that. I think that's how they figured that out, something like that. And I thought it was so cool. But that makes all the books wrong. I said, no, it don't. I said, we're finding out something new.
Mhm. Mhm.
I don't, I don't think we're wrong or right on that. I think, but it just brought me back to that and
Mhm.
talking about that in class and everything.
Mhm.
And it was a great conversation to have.
Good. Good.
Mm.
Good. So have
Amazing.
fun, folks, with your ongoing exploration. Um, we have, for those of you in the neighborhood, on Saturday morning at 11 in the Cloister Garden. We did change the spot. We moved it from the grotto to the Cloister Garden. We're having a celebration of Teilhard's Mass on the World, which will be a kind of continuation of some of this. So you're
Mhm.
very welcome to attend that. Stay for lunch if you want.
Mhm. Thank
Okay.
you. Yes, I will definitely be there.
Yeah.
With our chairs, right? Should we
Yeah,
bring a chair?
yeah,
Sister Mo?
if you can bring a lawn chair, that would be good.
Yes, okay.
Okay.
Just
Angela, you look like you want to say something.
I just want to say thank you.
remember.
These two presentations were really wonderful. I
Yeah.
think it opened our minds and our
Yes.
hearts to
Definitely. Thank you.
a
Yes.
whole new
Yeah.
world.
Yes.
Thank
Yeah.
you, Margaret.
And
You're
I can't
welcome.
wait to watch the first one thank you for recording it. Because
I
it's
will
so
send out
important.
the links as soon as we have them. I'll send the links to both sessions
Oh, good.
to everybody.
Wonderful.
Good.
And I'll
Yeah.
send I'll send you, did you all get my emails today? Did you get an email reminding you
Yes.
about
Yes.
tonight?
Yes.
Thank
Yes,
I
you.
did.
okay.
Yes.
Okay,
That
so
was great.
after I sign off, I'll send you the link to the Living Earth Community website.
Thank
Okay.
you. Thank
And,
you.
Well, thank you.
and have
Alrighty.
fun with that, really. There's
Uh-huh.
loads of stuff. You'll just get lost in it.
Mhm.
Sounds great. Sounds great.
Mhm.
Okay, God bless
Yeah.
everybody.
Thank you.
Have a good
Yes.
Thank you,
evening,
Sister
right?
Thank
Margaret.
you.
and
so much.
Thank you.
Take care.
Have a
Wonderful.
wonderful week.
Thank
Okay.
you, Angela.
Pleasant
Welcome.
dreams.
Thank
Bye.
you, Angela. Thank you, Ann. Thank you, Angela.
Thank
Don't
you.
let the bed bugs bite.
Bye-bye.
Take
Thanks,
care.
Angela.
Now.
You're welcome.
Have a good night.
Yep, you too.